everybody. It's Sandi Boucher here once again. Mishko Paganan Quain Addition Mundo Dem, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As I promised in the teaser video, I have something a little bit different for you now. I'm going to introduce you, I can talk, honest, I can, to the women who get it. And this Millie Gormely is my guest today, and that is definitely how I would describe her. But before we go any further, I know Millie and I have already discussed this, we so agree, there is no woman out there who gets it all. We all have areas we excel in, and we have areas where not so much. And as I was saying to Millie earlier in the kitchen, yeah, no, this is not my forte. Out here empowering people, doing videos, sure, but not so much over there. And Millie, I'm bringing her on here today because she's an expert in a field that I had no clue in, and I totally own that. And I actually think many of you watching right now might be in the same boat. What we're talking about is personal finances, that financial security, that making sure you're not only taken care of, but maybe actually getting ahead of the game. And for me, that was a huge learning curve. As an Anishinaabe, as an Indigenous woman, I can tell you honestly, I can rock poverty. Only got 20 bucks. I am so down with that. I know how to feed a family for a month on that. But I didn't know how to have money in my bank account and how to be okay with that. And what in the world's an investment? The best part, right? But again, like so many of you, maybe you have reached out to a financial advisor in the past and they use terms you had never heard of before. You just end up feeling really dumb, for lack of a better word. And you just want it out of there so fast. And now you're putting your own future at risk. Yeah. Full disclosure here, Millie is my financial advisor. So I'm talking firsthand. Everyone I introduce you to, I know firsthand. I wouldn't recommend them to you otherwise. Millie has been amazing. She answers all my goofy questions. She walks me through every step I need. And she's just helped me get to a way better place. So Millie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Like this is an honor. I really respect your work and I love how you approach things. And you know, this is one of those areas that can be so emotional and so tricky for people, for women especially, and especially Anishinaabe women as well, just because of a lot of the cultural issues that come up. And like you say, having poverty as a sort of a constant companion in a lot of communities gets really tricky, and it can be very emotionally difficult to have those conversations with a professional. And so I'm so glad that you trust me to have those conversations with.
Yeah, well, and you know what? It's because you have never once either A, looked down on me, or B, made me feel like you were, right? That's just not the person you are. You would never do that, which is why it was so easy to connect with you. But I think, and we've had this conversation before, you know as well as I do that there's people in the field where you couldn't describe them that way, right?
Traditionally, my industry has not done a spectacularly good job of accepting the fact that women's needs are different and of approaching working with women in a personal kind of way. I mean, certainly so I've been doing this for 17 years. I've been around a long time. And certainly the sales training that I got as a new advisor was very much in the old school, you know, lapels the size of my hand and a big fat tie, kind of that, you know, that sort of Herb Tarlett kind of vibe. And, you know, how you overcome objections and how do you make sure the decision makers in the room and all of those, what's preventing you from buying this today, you know? And it just icked me the hell out, right? It's just not who I am as a person. And to be honest, it's something that my business struggled as a result of me not being comfortable with those types of tactics. But I am happy to report that the I think society as a whole, and my industry in particular, and the company that I work for, have really started to come around to the idea that the relationship that you have with your financial planner is a relationship, right? It's
Right.
about understanding what you need. It's about telling you what you need to hear sometimes, but it's also listening to what you want and trying to figure out how we can get you to that point. So
Yeah.
it's a conversation, it's a relationship, and it's a two-way street, and we have to respect each other. There's no such thing as a dumb question, really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the I think the thing is, some planners have gotten complacent, and they don't want to take the time to answer the questions, possibly because they're too busy, possibly because they have too many clients, and they're just trying to chew through the paperwork and the compliance. And it's not like, this is the stuff I shield you from as a
Yeah.
client. You don't know all the compliance crap I have to deal with in the background, and all of the paperwork that goes on, and all of the logistical and legal things that I have to think about before I present you with, hey, I think we should do this.
Yeah.
But that's why you hire me, is so you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff yourself. I think for a lot of people, yeah, it's so disappointing, and it's so frustrating when you feel like you're not being listened to. And for me, that's one of those things that I really want to try to make a cornerstone of my practice. Like, I am a professional. This is a professional practice that I have. And I want to conduct myself in a way that all of my clients are calm, they're comfortable, and they're clear on what their actual situation is, so that we can move forward with some kind of confidence in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. When you were talking about, the collars and the big tie and those sales tactics, I
Yeah.
kind of made a face, because I was like, whoa, I've been in those meetings. Like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't you sign up today? And it's not comfortable. And again, as you pointed out, for Indigenous people in Canada, we're so used to being looked down on or
Yeah.
judged that when we end up in a situation where someone's talking to us like we should know this. And like, I've been to meetings with financial advisors before you, of course, where I thought, like, was there a course I was supposed to take before I came here? No one told me about prerequisites, right? I don't even know what those last three words you used are, right?
Yeah.
So, but we could so easily go off on a tangent here.
Oh,
But before
totally.
we say anything else, I did want to, I know you, and that's why it's so easy, but I did want the viewers to understand your background. So give us
Sure.
take us down the life path of Millie.
Okay. Well, I am what is called a certified financial planner. Yes, which means that I've got a fair bit of education and a decent amount of experience, and that indicates, among a few other things on the wall, that I do know what I'm talking about. When I'm making recommendations, and when I'm telling you what's what. But that's not all that I am. Nobody is just a certificate on the wall. So I've been a financial planner for the past 17 years now. And I came out of the insurance industry. Actually, I used to be an insurance claims adjuster, and that's a tough gig,
I'm
because
not sure I knew that. I was like,
yeah,
that's
oh, this is before you and I met originally. Like,
okay.
it's a long time ago. So basically, a claims adjuster is the person who walks someone through an insurance claim. But the thing is, they work for the insurance company. You only meet someone after something horrible has happened to them. So you're not really starting off a relationship with somebody. And you end up saying no a lot. No, we can't fix your car for more than what it's worth. No, we can't replace things in a house fire that we don't have a record ever existed. And yeah, no, we can't compensate you for pain and suffering, because that's not how the laws work in Ontario for auto accidents. So all kinds of ways and reasons that you have to say no to people. So that starts to eat your soul after a few years.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about what I do now is that no matter where I'm starting off with somebody, I'm starting off on level ground. We are where we are. This is where we are. And no matter, well, I wouldn't say no matter what I do, but no matter what path it takes, I can get someone from where they are to a better place. You may not necessarily, if you wanted to be a millionaire 2 years from now, I'm sorry, Sandy, I don't think I can make that happen for you.
Oh, come
But
on.
right, I know.
Together we can do anything.
I've got my lottery tickets. How about you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm going to tell you that up front. We're going to get clear on what your actual situation is and move forward. So that's the nice thing about it. So I work virtually, and I work with clients all across Ontario. And you know what? I really think you can develop a good relationship through a Zoom camera. It's different. It's certainly
Totally.
different than real life, but it can work. And sometimes that's the most comfortable way for people to have these kind of conversations. So if you and I were discussing your, I don't know, a debt situation you may have, or you've got some stuff going on, or you're talking about how you want to set up your estate for your kids, and you've got a difficult relationship with one kid, and stuff happens, right? Everybody's got stuff going on in their lives. So when you're having these kind of conversations, it's really important for you to be comfortable. So if you're in your comfortable space and I'm in my comfortable space here, and I've got access to I can refer to all my stuff on the wall, and my books are over there, and I can pull stuff up. And if I asked you, okay, maybe not you because you just moved, but if I asked you, where's last year's tax return, you might be able to dig it up.
I actually know where that is, just in my defense.
Perfect.
Only because I have an assistant who does my filing. Let's be honest.
Which is
here,
awesome.
yes,
I mean, that's a lifesaver for sure.
Yeah.
But that sort of idea of we can both be in our own comfortable space when having these conversations. To me, that's really kind of important.
Yeah,
and that's how I'm approaching things going forward. So even prior to COVID, I had been sort of toying with the idea of moving to a more virtual practice, just because it expands my reach so much, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to drive for 14 hours to see a client. We can just hop on the camera and make it happen. Prior to COVID, that was very difficult just because of the infrastructure, but now it works, right? Now we've got DocuSign, we've got the cameras, we've got everything. Can't happen through we can make it work. So
exactly. On that topic, a question I never thought of asking. So is there, because my viewers are from all over the place, so is there a restriction on, like, geographic restriction on who you can help?
Me personally, within the province of Ontario, because that is where my licensing is. So anybody in Ontario, if you've got a half decent internet connection, an email address, and a cell phone, then we're good to go.
Excellent. Love it. I have now, you know what? I have no idea how long we've known each other. It's been a while.
Time flies. We've got to be going on 15, 20 years.
That's what I was thinking, right?
I'm
like
thinking
at
something
least
along those lines.
So
yeah.
If you picked up on familiarity, that would be what?
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, I think I know the answer, but I'm not positive. If you thought of your customer base, client base, I'm not sure how you refer to them, what's the percentage of women?
Percentage of women right now is probably about 60%. I do have a fair number of couples that come along with a man, and I do have
couples. That's an option. I keep forgetting that's an option. Okay,
that is an option for some. And I do have a small number of single male clients, because they just like the way I work, and we click and we get along. But yeah, it's getting to be, and that's where I'm focusing my marketing and my outreach, and that's where I want to focus my client. I would rather be somewhat of an expert in a small group of people, and women are not a small group of people. Come on, we're half the population. Like, we got to stop thinking of ourselves as a minority. We have the minority of the power, but we do not have the minority of the population.
Yeah. And I know for me, and we've had this discussion probably when I first reached out and said, okay, I need a financial planner. I'm starting to make money, which was a new concept. And I probably should do something smart with it. I have no idea. I know what I want to do with it, but that's not a smart decision, right? Shopping is not, a collection of shoes would not be my financial feature. So
a little retail therapy once in a while, that's fine. But yeah, I wouldn't bank your future on it.
Exactly. So, but being Indigenous, again, it was so new to have money. We had the whole challenge of my income is non-taxable. So that some investors or managers had no idea what that's a whole new ball game. So it was really awesome working through that with you. And I know even when my first statement came in, which I get financial statements now, people, my investments, hello. But even when the first statement came in and I went back to, was there a prerequisite? Because I don't understand.
I know.
And I reached out to you and you were amazing, jumped on Zoom right away and just walked me through it. And then it wasn't intimidating at all. And I guess I want to share that with the viewers. If anyone can identify with that, I don't know if I could do this.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I've come to realize in the last couple of years, that not knowing that feels so embarrassing is an indication of a lack of experience, not a lack of intelligence.
Absolutely.
Right. So when I realized I didn't know those financial statements because I had never heard them before, not because I wasn't capable of understanding it. Oh. And when you meet someone who does understand that this just isn't your field, let me walk you through it, it becomes a lot less scary. It's not scary at all now. And actually, Millie, I'm going to go off on a tangent for a sec, but we got to book an appointment because some things have changed and you're actually going to be happy. So
well, that's good to hear. Excellent. Yeah, I love hearing stuff like that. But yeah, you're right though. Like again, my industry does not do a particularly good job of clarifying things a lot for clients. And part of that, so it's sort of there's always this struggle between making sure that people have enough information to make an informed choice and overwhelming them with information that doesn't necessarily improve their ability to make a choice. It just gets to be too much. So having someone to kind of interpret some of that can be really helpful. And the other thing is that the industry is full of acronyms. It's like I can have an entire conversation with a colleague not using actual words. Okay. So, so are you going to pack into that RRSP or are you going to be doing the SWIP out of the RIF first?
Yes. TFSA, right? Is that it? Yes.
Yes, it is. And I hear it so often TSFA, which is not what it is.
Yeah. It's like,
so that is tax-free savings account. And you know what? It drives me nuts that they called it the tax-free savings account, because what do you think of when you hear the words savings account?
Low interest and you can't do anything with it.
You think of a bank account, right? You think of a bank account that you put cash in and that's a savings account. The TFSA is so much more than that. Like if we're going to talk technicalities for a second, a tax-free savings account is an account that you can put investments in, and anything that you earn inside of that account, you don't have to pay tax on, Indigenous or not. And so it's one of the biggest advances in personal financial planning in the last 15 years. And it's a tool that not enough people are really, really taking advantage of. So calling it the tax-free savings account drives me batty. But here we are, and you work with what you've got, and it's my job to interpret that and make it clear for the people that I'm working with.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, viewers, if you want to watch Millie freak out, watch this. Okay.
Oh boy.
Millie?
Oh boy. Yeah.
How great is investing in cryptocurrency?
Okay. All right. Having had my little minor freak out, crypto. Crypto is a technology. Crypto is there's definitely some value and some interest in the possibilities of what cryptocurrency and blockchain can do in the financial system. But as an investment, it is incredibly risky. There are tons of scams out there. I get at least twice a week a Facebook message from someone claiming to be a registered and licensed cryptocurrency dealer. There is no such thing. And and I have about $100 worth of crypto. Actually, it's probably about $40 worth of crypto right now, because I opened up an account and I put some money into it just to kind of get a sense of how this works and kind of get a feel for it, because I get these questions all the time. It's gambling, really. So for an average person who doesn't have a lot of technical expertise, who doesn't have the time to watch things go up and down and try to take advantage of price moves, and these things move way too fast for most human beings to catch up to it anyway, it's a gamble. If you've got some money that you have absolutely you don't care if you keep it or lose it, have at her, go have fun. And I say the same about picking your own individual stocks. That's a lot less risky than crypto. But if you want to go and start doing some investing on your own and kind of getting a sense of the markets, how they work, and buying and selling, and it can be a lot of fun. I mean, I find it fun, but you've got to realize that there are huge amounts of risk involved in these types of investments, and you can lose your shirt. And if you can't afford to lose your shirt, then don't do it.
Don't do it. When you said you love playing around with investments and all that, the only thing that went through my mind is, yeah, but she likes cooking too, right? It's like, this is not something I'm ever going to do. But you know what? Two things that you touched on that I really want to highlight. Informed choice.
Yeah.
So my personal experience, this is only my personal experience, people, but when I had engaged with financial planners in the past, it wasn't that I didn't have an informed choice. They were making the choices for me. Yeah. And that made me nervous, because at the end of the day, we are talking about my money and my future. And it's great and wonderful that you understand why I should use that and not that. But could you please take 5 minutes to let me in? So, exactly. Which leads to my second point. I love that I don't have to do that. Like, I got enough going on with my own career. I absolutely love that the money can just go to you, and I don't lose a second of sleep over it. Just Millie's got my best interests in mind. You know, we're going to talk about anything that changes, and like, my job is to keep you informed. Yes. So that the plan still fits what I want to do. Yep. And just let you do, like, it is the epitome of empowerment, and anyone on my channel knows I'm all about empowerment. That, like, that's your expertise. For me to try to tell you what to do is kind of like me trying to tell you how to cook something. It really not a good idea.
It would not end well.
Trust me, you don't want to go there.
It's okay, we'll go out.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I have another question. I'm just really curious about this one. So women in general, we're just going to put us all into one pot, like we're all the same. But whatever. Thinking back over your history and all the clients that you've worked with, if there's one mistake or one thing that women fail to do that really turns around and bites them in the butt, what would you say that is?
Not doing anything. You know, so not engaging. The thing is, you can have money and not engage with it. So you can have a bunch of money sitting in a checking account, or you could have a pension plan that you've gotten from an old job, and you put it into a locked-in retirement account. And you don't think about it. You could not save. You could not having a plan, I think, is probably the biggest mistake that people in general make. And women tend to be a little bit, apparently something like 40% of women aged 40 to 54 do not have any kind of a financial plan, or 60%. I'm gonna have to look it up, but whatever the statistic is, it's way too flippin' many, you know? And I was talking about this with a colleague this morning, actually. We're in another Zoom meeting, and you can't wing life anymore. You know, so back in our parents' day, you could finish high school or not, get a job, live your life, collect your pension, and never really have to have a financial plan in that sense, because things just sort of happened and they could all work out, because life was different then. And life is not that way now. Life is not easy now. And life was not easy then, but it's even more complicated now to run your financial life, and to do so without having any kind of a plan in place is, you're just making your life so much harder than it has to be.
Yeah. And you just touched on, I think, if there's one myth or misinformation out there, we all hear that if you start financial planning when you're 19, then you end up with this nest egg. So people get to 30 and 40 and think it's too late. And if there's one thing you've taught me, exactly, is it's never too late. Obviously, you can't save up that $1 million as we were talking about earlier, but any plan's better than no plan, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ideally, I would love to see every 18-year-old on their birthday open up a tax-free savings account and start putting $100 a month into it. You
Yeah.
know, just doing that will solve so many problems for old and gray 18-year-old to do that. But that doesn't happen for all of us. And you got to start where you are, right?
Yeah.
So I can guarantee that I can make anyone's financial life at least a little bit better than it was before.
And you'll also understand it way more. So it's not just this big gray area that scares the daylights out of you. You
Yeah.
actually understand. I know for me, I was saying this to my assistant yesterday. I'm one of those people that I don't care if it's even bad news. If I know it, I can deal with it. It's
Yeah.
the not knowing that drives me nuts, the not understanding. Now, is it possible? I'm a grandma. And my grandkids aren't anywhere near 18 yet, but is it possible for me to do something for them?
Sure.
Kind of
I
thing?
mean, there's a number of things you can do. A lot of it can just be setting aside money and sort of earmarking it personally, like setting up a savings account and putting money of your own into that savings account, and that's the grandkids account. You can use your own TFSA and put that money in there. It's your money, but you can say to yourself, this is a TFSA for my grandkids. You can have multiple TFSA accounts as long as you don't go over your contribution limits, which are $6,000 for this year. So if you had started, so TFSA came out in 2009. So if you were 18 years old at that time, do the math, and you hadn't opened up a TFSA yet, you've actually got $81,500 worth of contribution room available to you.
Oh, like 6,000 per year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it started off at 5,000, then it went up to 5,500, and then one year it was $10,000 of the contribution room because it was an election year and Justin was trying to buy our love, and then it went back down to 6,000, and that's where it is now.
That
Well,
could go to a whole new segment. Yeah.
Well, it kind of worked because it got elected, but I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't think that was the whole. But again,
Yeah.
that we digress a lot. But yeah, tax-free savings account has cumulative limits, so you can accumulate more and more contribution room just for existing. An RRSP, a registered retirement savings plan, is a little bit different because the contribution room that you have, the amount that you're allowed to put into it, is dependent upon how much money you make. The TFSA isn't. It's the same for everybody.
Okay. I'm not sure if this question makes sense, but I'm going to ask it anyways. So is there like a minimum amount that like you need to be able to set aside $200 a month or whatever it is, and at that point you should go see a financial advisor? Like, is there that number? Or
well, I mean, it depends on who you're working with. Working with me, yeah, there's I have to have some limits because I have limits. I can't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if I can't take everybody who's got $50 to their name and can only save $50 a month,
Yeah.
I can't do that. But you can still do that yourself. Get started with even a separate bank account. You know, just do that, and then build up some cash, and then come see somebody like me. There are good financial advisors at the banks. I know people in my industry would say, "Oh, you can't recommend the banks." Oh, no. Well, sometimes people aren't ready to be working with a financial advisor, and at least get yourself started, get yourself something set aside. So yeah, I mean, every advisor's got their own sort of break-even points and what works for them. Personally, I am always about having conversations with people. So even if I can't take someone on as a full-time client, I'm still happy to have a conversation. Let me give you some advice. Let me help you figure out how you want to get started, and then go. You can make it happen.
Yeah. And I think that's amazing. Thank you for doing that, because way back when, I wouldn't have known even to start with the bank and talk to the financial advisor. So even having that direction is so incredibly valuable. So
yeah, absolutely. Anytime anyone wants to talk to me, I'll book a half hour in my calendar, and we'll just kind of do a quick little assessment of, okay, from what you're telling me, this is what I think you should do.
Yeah.
And you're off to the races. It doesn't cost you anything. It costs me half an hour of my time, but you know what? I figure it's good for my karma. So happy to do it.
Excellent. Awesome. So we could go on and on and on. And I know I'd get a migraine because it's financial stuff. That's Millie's section. But the one thing I do, again, I've worked with Millie for, I don't know how long now, but highly recommend her services. She, like I said, she explains it all. She answers the questions. I just love that I have a plan in place, and I definitely did not start at 19. Just putting that out there, but it's never too late. So Millie, if someone watching would love to get a hold of you, maybe even just have that 30-minute conversation, maybe do a whole lot more, how would they get a hold of you?
Email is probably the fastest way to reach me because I'm pretty much tied to my computer most days. So it's millie.gormely@ig.ca. Send me an email. I'll send you my booking link, and then you can just pop onto my calendar and we'll have a chat. And I will be able to give you some direction at the very least, and I'm always happy to do that.
Excellent. And I'll put that up on the screen, and I'll definitely put it in the notes below the video. So thank you so much for coming out today, Millie. I know the value of what you do. I know the peace of mind it's given me, how much my stress has gone down, just knowing I have you in my corner. And I just really wanted to share that with other people that may have similar backgrounds as mine, really didn't start with money, but you get to the point where you're starting to build it, and it's really great to have someone in your corner. So
it is so gratifying for me to work with people like you who didn't necessarily start off or come from money, but now they're doing great things in their own lives, and I can help make it even better. And that's really exciting for me, and I'm so proud to have you as a client of mine.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So everyone, send her an email. She's totally going to respond. I can tell you that right now, because she responds to me, and mine are pretty crazy. So anyways, take care until the next episode. I'm going to be doing this once a month. I'm going to be releasing it on the 25th of every month. Think of it like Christmas every month, except it doesn't cost you money. You actually get gifts. It's my kind of Christmas. Awesome. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.